Hello, my beautiful sister,
Hello.
Zoe.
She rise.
So thank you so much for agreeing to come and have this conversation about the strong Black woman archetype. So a little bit about you, Zoe. You're one of my best friends. We've been friends for over 15 years. Zoe's a life coach, birth doula, and a teacher, currently working with supporting our young people who have additional needs within the school system. One of the reasons why I asked you to come to be a part of this conversation, not just because we've had some amazing conversations about this, you know, it's been a topic for both of us throughout our lives. But I think sometimes the strong Black woman archetype can be viewed as maybe something the mother carries, you know, it's like or mothers who have children. And although you don't have any, I think you carry the mother template. But I think what's so beautiful is to be able to see that actually the idea of the strong Black woman, it can show up in all different women's lives, but it still shows up nonetheless. And I guess I'm interested in how it showed up for you, how it's impacted and influenced your life path, but also talking more about how you're actively healing, you know, because this is something that we've talked about and we've supported each other through our own healing journeys to heal, you know, and, you know, it's a journey, I guess. So I guess, yeah, maybe start with telling us a bit about you and what your views are on the strong Black woman archetype.
So, hello everyone, I am Zoe. As Sheree said, I am a life coach, birth doula and teacher. In my spare time, I actually make a lot of time for this. One of my loves is roller skating. Yeah, it's one of my, as people say, it's one of my hobbies, but to me, it really is a lifestyle. It's one of the ways that I just have fun and enjoy, and also just get away from, you know, from these labels and titles, you know. So yeah, I think firstly it's important to recognize, you know, what is a strong Black woman, and you know, what does that mean to you? I think for me, like I grew up in a family where predominantly I grew up around women. You know, even out of my mum's siblings, out of the 6 of them, my mum has 1 brother and 4 sisters. And then on my dad's side, my dad's got 2 sisters. So yeah, predominantly around women, spent a lot of time, you know, with my family, different family members, growing up, where they was, you know, supporting my mom with childcare, but also just playing with my cousins and stuff. But what I saw growing up around, you know, so many women was, you know, that they was just doing a lot of things by themselves for everyone else, you know, and they'd become like sort of pillars in their own family. So starting with my maternal grandmother, who'd been married 3 times, widowed 3 times, and already then just hearing that, it was like, whoa, you know, you're like super strong, because the first time when you was widowed, she had 4 children, you know, including 2 children under 5 years old. So in just knowing that and not really hearing about how she felt during those times, but just sort of hearing how she, you know, got on with life, got on with things, did what she needed to do for her children because she had a family to raise. And I think like the influence of that on my mother like being brought up by a single parent. And I grew up with my parents married. However, my mum still took control of a lot of things within our household, a lot of the organization, you know, making things work, school activities, childcare, play sessions, you know, family link-ups or like link-ups with friends. You know, a lot of that was organized by my mum, who also ran her own business. And, you know, she just seemed to be juggling a lot of these things, you know, aspects of her life. On top of this, my mum, you know, she had her own hobbies and things that she liked to do. And it just seemed like, you know, she was doing a lot. And I think even as a child, for me, that meant that like I wanted to do a lot, and I always wanted to do like everything, you know, everything at the same time, which obviously is like impossible. But it wasn't just doing everything, it was like doing things to a really high standard. And, you know, that brought out the like perfectionist sort of archetype. So then it sort of feeds into each other, because, you know, it's like you want things to be perfect. So the best way for things to be perfect is to do it yourself. And I think this was a message that was reinforced a lot, you know, around in women in my family, whether it was spoken about or just like indirectly acted on or acted out. And so, you know, when going through my adolescence, you know, I really got this sense of, you know, like independence, but I would almost say like hyper independence. It was quite extreme, you know, and especially being like the youngest child in my family, you know, the youngest girl child. So I have an older brother. You know, there was a lot of, oh, you can't do this, you're not old enough, you're not big enough, you're not, you know. And so I wanted to do it all. I wanted to, you know, be like my older cousins, be like the adults even, you know, in what they was able to, you know, like juggle. And even, you know, for example, like the amount of activities I did like growing up, like I did a lot. You know, I did a lot, like most days of the week or that weekend that I was doing something, I was somewhere, like, you know, it was like there was always something going on. And actually what that meant in my day-to-day, like for now, is taking time to rest, taking time to acknowledge or even just to feel how I'm feeling in the present moments of like chaos is difficult. And, you know, like wanting to just power through and just keep going, and, you know, wanting to be strong, because, you know, it was like perceived being weak or lazy to do nothing, like to be resting. Rest, are you sick? You sick?
Yeah, I so hear that. I so hear that.
It's like, yeah, unless you're sick or like you're brought down, like what's rest? Like what does that mean? You know, and again, this notion of, you know, not resting, not being able to rest being lazy, it being unproductive, you know, all of these things, you know, you got to work hard to get somewhere, which means you can't rest because, you know, you got to be working hard all the time. You know, it means we don't know how to rest and just to take a moment and, you know, acknowledge, like, hold on a minute, I'm actually fucking overwhelmed. Like, I'm actually doing too much. And the thing that's stopping me from resting is my own thoughts, my own, you know, my own mind, that inner voice, you know, like, you don't deserve to rest. You know, what have you done to deserve this rest, please? Like, and having to reframe that, you know, where the healing is now and the medicine is, you know, acknowledging, you know, those times when I am doing too much, you know, when I can feel it within my body that, you know, I'm overwhelmed, you know, that I'm not grounded, that, you know, thoughts are racing through my brain a million miles an hour, you know, because I'm not rested and and it's not even just about like actual resting, but like just the pause, you know, the pause to just stop, just to just be here, like in this moment, which is very hard to do if you always, you know, are going somewhere or doing something or, you know, and yeah, I found that just to be really, really important to, you know, just stop, acknowledge how I'm feeling and then go from there. You know, rather than just trying to just keep powering on through, as you know I've previously done, as I've seen, you know, my friends, family members, you know, not even just to say like the women, even, you know, even the men, but just, you know, in a different way. But yeah, I just really, you know, really relate to the woman and and the mother, you know, that's the time of my grandmother, who, yeah, it was like she was always juggling for everybody else, and actually to acknowledge like her own feelings and her own, you know, sense of self. You know, I don't feel like that come till she was like really old, you know, and really in the last stages of her life, considering, you know, considering she lived for 90 years, say like in the last 10 years of her life, you know, I heard her speaking up more just about how she's feeling and, you know, what she's not doing, you know, and just putting her foot down and saying, no, I'm not doing that.
And that's amazing that she was even able to get to that space of acknowledging and putting that boundary in. And I want to just put a pin in that for a minute and come back to that. But I feel like, thank you for all that you've said so far, because what I find so interesting is that your grandmother was obviously a strong Black woman. And you said she was widowed, you know, 3 times. And did she ever remarry again towards the end of her life, or was she single? Did she stay single after that?
Yeah, so she married 3 times. And I think from when I was about, so I'd say the last 20 years of her life, she was single.
So in a way, your mum saw that part of her. You know, your mum was raised by a single mother, right? And I find it really fascinating that she, although married and although you was raised by both your parents, she still, in some ways, strived to be that strong Black independent woman within her, within the confines of her marriage, right? And then that was potentially played out by being busy, by making sure that there was always things to do, by making sure that you had all the activities after school, you know. So I think it's, you know, I feel like quite a lot of the strong Black women that I've been speaking to have been raised in single households. And I think that's, you know, that's like, it's interesting that yours was different, but still there were some of those traits that came through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you talked about how, you know, watching your mum being that strong, independent woman and being busy and making sure that you're achieving and highly achieving, and how striving to do all of that created burnout for you. It was like too much, you know? So I guess I'm wondering, like, what were the messages or the stories that told you that you had to be busy all the time?
I think that comes from both of my parents. like my dad's always had this ethic of, you know, you got to work hard to, you know, to get anywhere, like work hard in your education, then you can get a good job, and work hard in your job so that you can save up, you know, like for your pension. And then when you have your like when you retire and, you know, then you've got this like pot of pension money, then, you know, then you can relax and enjoy it, you know, when you're old, basically. And I think for my mom, it was similar, but similar but different. So my mum was on the sense of, I'm gonna work hard, but I'm gonna like enjoy this now. So, for example, you know, like when I was in primary school, my mum drove a Mercedes Benz, which then was unheard of for a Black woman. You know, she ran her own business. We went on holiday, you know, every year. And for my mum to, you know, live the lifestyle that she wanted to, she had to work for it. And working for it meant, you know, her leaving her office, like her office closes or finishes at 6 o'clock. But my mum would leave the office at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. And this is, you know, on days where we would have school the next day. And, you know, so that meant sometimes I'd stay with my nan. Sometimes I'd stay with my nan because my mum would be, you know, putting so much of her time into work, into her business, because that was, you know, that was how she was living. You know, that wasn't just how she was managing her lifestyle, but that was how she was feeding her children. So, you know, it was important to her. But what that meant is, yeah, my mum was always busy, you know, whether it meant that, you know, on the weekend that she was taking us out to, you know, some other city in the country to see like one of her clients in a show, or that meant that, you know, we was off doing our activities and things, you know. So it's like even when she was busy, we were still busy. And so it's almost like this notion of just in my household, you know, that you have to be doing things, you have to be active, you know, otherwise you're lazy and it's non-productive. And, you know, if you want to be the best, then you've got to go out there and you've got to, you know, acquire all these skills and get all this experience and, you know, be doing all this stuff, which, you know, don't get me wrong, there's times when, you know, I really appreciate that I've, you know, been able to be exposed to so many different activities and different, you know, like ways of life. However, it also means that, you know, like I actually only started resting, I would say, once I got ill. And, you know, that was like the wake up call, like, yo, need to check yourself. How are you living? What are you doing? You know, what is it? Because, you know, that was the opportunity where I really got to make a choice, you know, because it was either try to keep going and, you know, take this medication. Well, not even like try to keep going and take this medication, but I understood that, you know, like I really have an opportunity here to just show how powerful I can be when I make, you know, intentional choices for my greatest good. And what that meant was, you know, changing my lifestyle. But before I could even change my lifestyle, it meant, you know, acknowledging the way that I'd been living on this freaking hamster wheel, like constantly going, and, you know, whether it meant activities or whether it meant, you know, doing like every opportunity for overtime at work that I got, like I'll take it because, you know, I wanted to earn extra money because, you know, at the time I was saving for my house. But actually not even understanding, you know, what burnout is. Like, I think I was burning out through the burnout, which is why illness was just like you know, it was a sudden boom, need to stop, you know, and in that moment of having to stop, you know, I was able to think and reflect, like, why the hell am I so busy? Like, what? You know, and I think especially looking, you know, and acknowledging like how my family live in the Caribbean, where it's such a slower pace of life, you know, much more relaxed lifestyle. You know, people are just more in harmony and present.
Yeah.
And, you know, just the way that we look at, not even say that the way that we look at them, but yeah, like the way that we look at them, like they have, you know, not that much because they don't have all these things and haven't, you know, done all these things and been to all these places. But actually just their, like, you know, just their slower pace of life, and just remembering that, and actually, you know, acknowledging like, okay, my grandparents who live in the Caribbean, like my father's parents, who, you know, have a really different way of life now that they've gone back home, you know, and retired. You know, they are, you know, they're living their, you know, their dreams. They, you know, worked their lives, they worked hard, and now they're doing the retirement thing, you know, which for them worked. But we live in a completely different world now. And, you know, there's a lot more going on to just be waiting for your retirement to rest. You know, because by then, as I've experienced illness already, and I know, even, you know, especially when I look at, you know, the women in my family, or the even the men too, like the people in my family who have this notion of, you know, work hard, if you're resting, you know, it's considered as lazy, and, you know, what have you done to deserve this rest? You know, everybody has, you know, health conditions, you know, which are actually quite serious, like serious health conditions. And, you know, I've been having conversations with my mom just about the link between, you know, like stress and these health conditions, you know, that the way that stress affects our body, and then that starts having an impact on different systems or different organs in our body. And, you know, just trying to give her opportunities to learn and understand, you know, actually how our body works, and, you know, that we need to treat ourselves with care, and we can't just be, you know, like, being strong also means to be vulnerable, you know, it means allowing ourselves to feel, and not just to keep, you know, powering on through, like, to say, you know, we're not feeling anxious, or we're not feeling depressed, or, you know, we're not feeling unloved, you know. And actually, when we stop and reflect on those feelings, we then give, you know, ourselves opportunity, you know, to love ourselves, to, you know, do those things for, you know, for ourselves, instead of, you know, giving our everything to everybody else and then expecting them to, you know, to give it back, because that's not how it works. You know, I like to say you can't pour from an empty cup. So if your cup's empty, you can't pour. And the best thing I like to say is fill up your cup so it overflows.
The strive for independence means we don't ask for help, right? We do it ourselves, okay? And when we get to that point where we need help, you know, I feel like there's something that happens within us, not just that forces us to have to ask, because we need, so, you know, if your legs are gone, then you definitely need someone to help you. But just pushing ourselves out there and saying, actually, I need help. Like, what comes up in that process? Because I think what I'm realizing is that the biggest theme that I've uncovered within my own strong Black woman roles and traits and symptoms have been the inability to ask for what I need. Yeah. But before that, it's recognizing what I need. It's understanding that, oh, actually, I don't know how to do this thing, and I need help, you know. But what came up for me in getting to that place of asking for help was shame. So for me, the challenge was overcoming the shame and the guilt, for the fact that I've been doing it all this time. What will people think of me? What will people think of me now that I haven't got it all together? I'm not leading with my mask on, and I'm not being the strong Black woman that I'm supposed to be. Yeah. So I guess I'm really wanting to look at like I understand it's hard and challenging, but let's unpick that bit so that we can find ways to support the reclamation of that, the healing of that, the way that we connect and reach out for support. What are the challenges in asking for help? What was it like for you? Because I know that you're much better at asking for help now. You know, obviously I've been your friend and I'm witnessing you, and you've been through what you've been through. And we've both had times where we've struggled, we've been there struggling. And, you know, either I've done it or you've done it. And we'd be like, babes, where are you? I haven't seen you for weeks. Something must be going on. You know what I'm saying? You must be going through something because you isolate. That's the pattern. Yeah. So, yeah, like, I guess I've answered the question and asked the question. And
I think, as I say, I think the key word that you mentioned there was is shame. And it's this, I think it starts from a self-shaming because of the ways that people have protected themselves from shame, you know, very much don't do this because people will talk about you. If you do it like that, people will talk about you, you know, the whole, you know, why are you doing it like this? Why are you doing it like that? And I definitely think the shame factor definitely came into play because, you know, I was living this independent life, saving for my mortgage, which, you know, is the dream. And all of a sudden I couldn't do that anymore. And it was like, okay, so what am I doing? You know, and it felt shameful to be doing nothing, to not be working, you know. And
what does it mean to be doing nothing, to not be working? Like, what does that mean?
It means that I'm lazy, that I'm unproductive, that I'm not gonna go anywhere in life. I'm not gonna excel. I'm not gonna be worthy of success. I'm not gonna be, you know, worthy of like receiving love, of receiving support, because and that's it. I'm not going to be worthy of receiving support because, you know, what am I doing to help myself? You know, how can I ask for help? Like, how can I ask for help if I'm not doing anything to help myself? And I think even in that time, one of the reasons why I'd say that it was really lonely was because, it was very, very difficult, you know, very difficult to ask for help. And I think the people that I expected to help me, which was like the doctors and like, the medical staff at the hospital, I had a lot of questions and I didn't trust that actually their route was the best, you know, was the most helpful for me. Not long term, maybe short term, but especially not long term, you know. And, you know, it's like here I was with sort of looking at my future, not really knowing how it's going to be, but still knowing that I want the best for myself, because, you know, like my mum was, you know, very successful, like in her business, and, you know, that's it. And one thing growing up, my mum always said, like, I always said to my mum, like, I want to be like you. And my mum would say, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better than me. And I think I really internalized that. And so, you know, I really did want to be, you know, better than my mum, like whatever that meant, which actually almost like put me in competition with my mum. Because I'm going to try and come back to that later on. But yeah, it actually was really hard to ask for help, because I only asked for help at that time if I really, really needed it. And really, really needed it was like if I was going to be homeless.
Yeah, crisis.
If I couldn't eat.
Like, literally,
like major crisis.
And I think that's powerful, because, you know, there's something about crisis being the vehicle for asking for help. You know, I know that it wasn't until I was unwell, whatever I was going through, I was physically unwell, then I had to ask for help, you know. And I think at various points throughout my life where I've been really down, I even exaggerated being unwell, because I really couldn't ask for what I needed. And I think you touched on something so poignant when you said, you know, if you asked for help, then it meant that you wouldn't be worthy of receiving the support or the love. And I think how, like, it's like so profound to me how our worthiness gets tied up in that. Yeah. Our worthiness, our sense of who we are and our belonging here, and our ability to be loved and be seen and be witnessed. It then becomes tied into what we're doing, how much we're doing, how much we're giving, how much we're, you know, blood, sweat, and tears we're pouring out to everybody else. And this is like, I'm really glad that you said that, because I feel like this is where I want to bring it up to date. Let's bring those messages, let's transform them and bring them into the here and now, because you know, we are born worthy. Like, that is inherent in us. And when we don't feel worthy, I think it's a signal to start inquiring to ourselves, where do those messages come from? Because they had to be told to us somehow. They had to be conditioned in our early childhood programming for us to come into adulthood and or you know, into our young 20s and into our 30s, believing that there's something wrong with us. There's something that is just not quite lovable or worthy of even receiving any sort of, you know, love and support. You know, our worth. I didn't feel worthy of getting my needs met, because I felt like I hadn't done enough. You know, whose bar was I trying to reach for?
Well, this is it. And I think in talking in now, I think this presents just in various ways. Like, I find this at work, you know, and it's like perceiving that the workplace doesn't have the capacity to support me in this way, so I don't ask for it. And actually, the not asking for it, what that means is, you know, I don't honor my needs. I don't honor my voice, you know, which means I am shutting myself down. I am making myself small. For what? Like, for a perception that I hold. And actually, you know, what is important is, you know, is asking for what I need, even if that need is not able to be fulfilled by that person or by that organization. Because actually, what that then means is I can then make the choice. Do I need to move? do I need to adjust something so that I can receive what I need? Because I am deserving. And it's okay if, you know, this place, this person, this thing can't fulfill this need, or can't fulfill it in the way that I need it, in the way that's right for me. That might be right for somebody else, but, you know, is it what I need? You know, And I find actually, if I hear myself complaining about something, then generally I need to just pause and like check where my boundaries are. Because actually, you know, perception is important. Actually, when I start complaining, is it because I'm overwhelmed? You know, because I'm trying to do too much, because I'm not resting? You know, is it because, you know, there's something that I haven't said? You know, as simple as that. Just saying something, you know, oh, I noticed that X, Y, Z. Well, actually, I need, you know.
Yeah, that's a really clever little hack there in terms of noticing when you have a need. Because I think that becomes the work, right? Once we start, you know, unpicking the ways in which we've been impacted, you know, we then start to be given choice on how we want to be going forward, right? So then we have to adjust the parameters, adjust the boundaries, and check in with ourselves. But sometimes the way that we've been has been so ingrained that it's automatic. Yeah. So the when it comes to a situation where we may need to get additional support, we're going to go into our default way of being, which is to try and figure it out ourselves in one way or another. So I was going to ask you, you know, what are the ways in which how do you know when you have a need that needs your attention? You know, how do you move with that? And I think like you just said, you know, when you hear yourself complaining, that's a good one for you to notice, oh, something's going on here. And then, you know, you mentioned about boundaries, because it's then, what are the bounds of what I need? What is, so how do we maneuver that?
I think it's,
how do you maneuver that?
So I'd say acknowledging when you're being triggered, you know, when that feeling, when you feel like your back's up, you go into defense mode and you're like, I need to defend myself. I need to defend my core being, my integrity, my, you know, this persona. I need to defend my reputation, like my honor. You know, you literally just go into defense mode. Your back's up. You might feel a bit hot, agitated, irritated, you know, or you might go into complain mode, you know, and this can be like externally, you know, or internally. You know, all your complaints might just be in your head. You're just saying them to yourself, you know. Or it might be that, you know, you go find somebody that, you know, it likes to complain a bit as well. And you'll go and, you know, you'll start this, you know, exchange of complaining, you know. Girl.
That's what we're doing now, though, no? Complaining about, no, I'm joking. Complaining about some black women. No,
literally. So, like, sometimes it takes me, you know, a good few days to recognize that I'm in this place, I'm in this state. And actually, sometimes when it takes me a good few days to recognize, I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. I'm starting to feel tired. You know, I'm noticing that I just want chips. Like, literally, I don't want to eat, you know, this nourishing food that I normally want to. And I just go into, like default junk food. My junk food is chips.
Love chips.
Yeah, me too.
That's your comfort, right?
That is my comfort food.
Food, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and yeah, it's like raw. This is the second day I had chips now. Oh, why? Like, and then it's like, oh, because I'm tired, because I can't be bothered to cook, but I'm tired because, like, you know, I'm not rested. I'm tired because the thoughts in my head are, you know, like non-stop. And actually, even when I'm sleeping, I'm waking up not rested, you know, even after sleeping for 8 hours or 7 hours or, you know, whatever it was. And, you know, these are the things that say to me, okay, like, I need to I need to actually acknowledge what I'm choosing, you know, because I have been choosing this. And now that I've acknowledged that, I then get to choose from here and now. How do I want to move forward? How do I, you know, what do I need to do? What are my needs right now? You know, how do I need to take care of myself right now? Do I need to go and connect with nature, or do I need to cook myself some nutritious food? Do I need to put the music on and just move my body because I'm feeling really tense and, you know, got a bit stagnant? You know, do I just need to put some music on that I can dance to? Do I need to put some music on that I can just sing to? Like, you know, do I just need to sing without any music? You know, do I need to connect with somebody? Do I need to call my sister? Do I need to go and see my mom? Like, you know, do I need to go and skate and just feel like I'm flying? Like, what, you know, just pause and acknowledge, like, what are my needs right now? Because I haven't been taking care of my needs. And actually that has been affecting me, which is why I'm feeling the way I am. And actually that's okay. Like, these feelings are the messenger, and message received.
And it's such a process, isn't it? Like, you know, it's such a process, like connecting to that part, because I recognize that, you know, on the journey of reconnecting with myself and acknowledging where I haven't met my need, initially come blame and, you know, negative self-talk and chastising. And, you know, again, that's, you know, how we punish ourselves, right? How we have been taught to treat the behavior that we feel is unacceptable within ourselves, you know, which, just shame ourselves more into the fact that we feel this way, you know? So it's still, it becomes another way to, well, we self-shame. It's not the shame that we perceive that other people are going to give us. We do it to ourselves anyway, you know? So what's been really helpful to me is to, once I connect with the unmet need, I may not even be able to identify what the need is. I just stay with the feeling that is coming up, you know, and listen to what the feeling is telling me. Notice where that feeling is arising in my body. You know, for a long time, it would always come in my stomach. It'd feel like knots or butterflies, or I'd feel sick even. And I would hear, "You're so stupid for not doing that," or "What was you thinking?" You know, it would be just constant, like, just, negative, hateful, vengeful even words. But then with the acknowledgement of that, it's like you get to move past it, because I've also been at a place where I see what I'm doing, I need to do this, and then I do it. However, I feel the process of connecting our emotions to our physical body has to be a felt sense. And sometimes throwing in the affirmation and the tools doesn't quite move it, because it just needs to be honored and witnessed that it was it's been residing there for so long. You know, it needs that space to be released. So then we have space to put in the goodness, to refill our well, to nourish ourselves in the way that we are learning to do, you know. And I think that physical felt sense can be often a missed part of the reparative healing journey, you know, because we hold memory in our body, in our energy field, in our and it's the way we experience is through all of our senses. So it makes sense that when we go through things that are impacting, they impact us multisensory, you know, on a multisensory level, you know, and sometimes the healing needs to be multisensory too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking one thing I didn't mention in that is, like, you know, what are my needs right now? Sometimes it is like literally going and lying in my bed and just, lying there. And that's like acknowledging where the feelings are in my body. Sometimes I do it on my yoga mat as well. And sometimes I actually lie on my yoga mat, acknowledge where the feelings are, and then just sing to them, but not in a way to like tell them to go away, but just in a way to just hold them and recognize that they're there.
Beautiful.
Because essentially, how do we hold space? How do we hold space for ourselves? And I think that is the sort of missing thing from like the strong Black woman archetype, the way that we've known it, the way that we've known it previously, the way that we've been shown it by our elders, and like the women in our communities, is this notion of that you have to be doing everything for everybody else, and what you come last before everybody, rather than actually you need to hold space for yourself, that you can then hold space for other people. And I think you would agree with me in recognizing, especially in the work that we do, in holding space for our clients and the people that we work with, that holding space for ourselves is absolutely like important. It's vital. It's a must, it's a need, it's necessary.
Definitely been part of the life for me. Is learning to take my own medicine. Especially being, the strong Black woman archetype raises a caretaker and a people pleaser, and although that I've always had roles and jobs that have been of service, and I've always had a pride in that, because I just love helping people. The true work never really happened, and the true transformational work never really happened for my clients until I was doing the actual work myself. You know what I mean? That really being able to be in my heart and being in that congruent space, and I had to transform my relationship with what it meant to be resilient, because I recognized that strength was something different to resilience. So they both held the idea that I must bear burdens without complaint. And the more I could bear in my resilience, the more I could prove my worthiness of being seen as strong. Do you know what I mean? Like, what does resilience mean to you?
Well, what does it mean to me now? So resilience now means that I'm heading in a direction towards a goal. And regardless of what comes up, I know that is the direction that I'm going in. And it doesn't mean that I just, keep on going because I absolutely have to get there. I know I will get there. The resilience and determination will get me there. However, if I need to rest along the way, I'm going to rest along the way, because this is what I need in order to keep striving for that, for that long-term goal or that longer term goal. Resilience means to not give up. But what that means in not giving up is, it doesn't mean to, destroy myself in the meantime, in the process of not giving up, and that it also means it's like taking away the like the restrictions and the barriers, the time restraints, as such. So rather than saying that, you know, whereas before, resilient would be like, okay, this is the goal. I need to get there. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. But the whatever it takes means I'm going to be willing to burn myself out. I'm willing to be hungry. I'm willing to, you know, let go of my financial goals and my financial routine and that discipline that I just got in to achieve this thing. And actually, when you then get that thing, you think, oh yeah, I've been resilient to get there. But actually, you literally let go of all the things that was keeping your core, like your core foundation of your being, grounded, solid, rooted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, resilience means no matter what, you know, no matter where I find, like, oh, if my energy is being drawn out here, I'm going to stop, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to refill that. I'm going to acknowledge, you know, what's going on inside before I then continue outside, rather than just focusing outside, and inside lit down, empty, mash up, you know, by the time I get there. You know, resilience to me now is, you know, to not even to say juggle, but to say to balance, you know, this journey of my physical being going to whatever destination, balancing, you know, the journey of my internals, you know, of my soul, you know, recognizing, you know, when anxiety arises, you know, recognizing when depression arises, when overwhelm and burnout, you know, when I'm doing too much, recognizing, you know, when I'm not sleeping properly, you know, and dealing with that so that I am, you know, I have the energy, you know, that I have what I need, you know, when my needs are taken care of, my energy levels are like, you know, really high. And when my energy levels are high, I can go wherever I need to go, you know, and it's like, that is resilience. It's, yes. I feel like to be resilient, you have to also bring in like discipline, you know, because resilient means to keep going, but not to destroy yourself in the meantime, you know. So it's that balance of internal, external, you know.
Yeah. When I think about resilience, I just see a picture of a tree, and you know, initially it's like the tree, you know, it's rooted, it's anchored, and it's weathering the seasons and the storms. But what remains is its roots, right? Mm-hmm. So when I think about my roots and how they have not always been deep or strong, they can sometimes be thin and wavy, you know, not quite connected. When I've been in that space, it's about, you know, sometimes I see it's like seeing in metaphors, because now I'm like seeing the tree being weighed under all this kind of, you know, the elements, the snow, it's weighing down the branch. Some of the branches are broken, you know, but because half the tree is broke up, but it's still rooted, it's like, yeah, that's good. It's a resilient tree. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, actually, no, what resilience has come to mean to me is it's in the bending and the stretching to life's ebbs and flows. It's like it's remaining rooted, but still being able to access, you know, our toolbox and trusting our resources and allowing the weather to move us, you know, letting go of the rigidity, the control, the manipulation tactics that we use to stay in that idea of needing to, you know, bear everything. or to make our branches bend how we want them to bend. But instead, it's in the softness, you know, it's in allowing and trusting the wind to carry you, but, you know, knowing that you're anchored. And then you become unbreakable. Because, you know, resting in that place of knowing that you're doing the best that you can, means that you're not striving from a place of unworthiness. You know, it's like when you can root in that, you know, you can weather the storms better. You can know, okay, this thing is coming up in my life, because life is not all roses, right? It's not all love and light like people like to make out. But it's in, you know, it's like when these things come our way, you can trust in your own ability to say, okay, I know when I need some support with this.
Yep.
Because my inherent worthiness is so rooted and strong, you know, it doesn't sabotage or question that. It just means that I need a hand right now, and that's okay. You know, it's like really, trusting in your ability to be bendy. Because
absolutely.
It's just.
And I think I see what you're saying in terms of resilient and strong, because I also think it comes down to asking for help to support yourself so that you can bend. You know, if you need that extra support so you can bend and flex a little, you know, a little more, and you need support with that, you just need someone to come and hold you, then, you know, it's about being able to ask for that instead of, you know, trying to do it for yourself and rocking a branch, or, you know, thinking, oh, it's all right, my branch is strong, so I can do it by myself.
And 1, 2 tornado come and the branch get fling wet.
I think the tree analogy is actually, just really helpful in taking it back to, you know, just asking for help and asking for support, so that you can, you know, bend through the weathers, you know, and the support that you need through the different weathers will look different.
Exactly, you know? Absolutely.
It will look different. And that means asking for the different types of support that you need, you know. Like I find, you know, that some types of support is easier to ask for, you know, than others. You know,
depends on the shame price tag, innit?
And what what you've attached to this area of your life, or this concept. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that's it, right? Even going back to the trees, you think of trees in a forest where they are like in a community, then, you know, they're better able to withstand the weather, you know, all weathers.
Yes,
you know,
they interconnect some of them and feed off each other when they need it.
Just again, I'm saying the tree analogy was actually just really powerful. You know, and the difference of a tree just by itself, you know, withstanding the weathers.
So, you know, I've loved this. It's been really nice to be in this setting with you. Like, it's also different for our sistership.
It is.
It's powerful stepping into different spaces and you know, seeing how we navigate and connect in new and different ways. You know, it's like as we grow, our needs change and our ways of relating will change as well.
My new definition of, you know, the strong Black woman archetype definitely incorporates self-love, because I think that is the defining factor of a sort of self-love. I feel like encompasses, you know, all these things of boundaries, discipline, asking for help, I think it really packages it very well when looking at the two differences of the strong Black woman archetype.
Yeah.
In conversations that I have with my mum now, about the way that we love ourselves, the way that we fill our cup, the things that we do for ourselves, without seeking approval from other people.
So just give me one more thing that has supported you with transforming your relationship with the strong Black woman archetype.
I would say community. I'd say community. I'd say connecting, especially with other women, forming my tribe. I think you mentioned in the beginning that we've been friends for like over 15 years, which is great. However, I think what's better now is that, you are not just my only person that I can share with, that I can go to for support. And so this notion of community, because, you cannot meet all of my needs, as much as you love me and as much as I love you, like we can't do everything for each other. And there are other places that we need to get our needs met. And so I think, community in, connecting, or say reconnecting with my mum as, not only as mother and daughter, but as women, as Black women from the Caribbean who's grown up in England, having parents that was born in the Caribbean, and what that means. Going to therapy, getting support in that, in that way, getting support in ways that my friends and family were not able to support me, actually, in having, a tribe of like-minded people and spaces where I feel safe to just be. I feel safe to express from my core being. I can allow myself to be held in more ways than one. I'd say definitely, the power of community. It means, connecting with, my children, and actually connecting, with my inner child and being playful. And, it means learning about myself through the people that I interact with, whether they are friends, people I don't really take to,
yeah,
people energy and alike, but what it means is just in connecting myself in this community is I feel like I am able to be stronger for myself, because when I'm not able to be what I need, I have a community that I can ask them to support me, in the ways that I need. And I think that is also really important in having different people that can that can meet your needs.
Sure. Definitely community is key. What I'm learning is key, and it's interesting, isn't it, the journey of the strong Black woman being independent and isolated, right? And alone, and through the healing coming to a point of actually this is not meant to be done alone. Like, no, this is there's something so wrong about this. And I find that's just, I won't go into it now, so coming to the end, just being the Black sheep of the family, it's like having to go into isolation to really understand the depths of connection, Yeah, because, you know, for me, I've had to really connect to myself on all levels in order to understand what it means to connect outwards in a way. But yeah, community is what is where I feel like these conversations need to be brought to, you know, and I really am on a mission to create that space for us women to be witnessed, to be held, to share, in non-judgment. You know, I feel like everyone deserves to be loved. Everyone deserves to be here, and they have a right to inhabit their space on this planet. And you know, not everything that we deal with and heal has to be done alone and in isolation. You know, so I'm hoping that my intention, you know, at the other side of these conversations is to create physical and virtual space so that we can come into community and have the conversations, because our conversations are our sacred stories, and our stories, you know, the art of storytelling, I think, is missing. And it's part of our heritage, it's part of our ancient wisdom and our culture and all of those things. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that into reality. I can birth that as sooner rather than later. It also paves the way for my children, you know, it helps them to know, where they deserve to be, and that they have access to these spaces too, right?